All right. November 3rd. The school was empty since they closed for Culture Day. Of course, no one from the newspaper club was there, and the room was quiet and empty. I'd been there alone since lunchtime. I wasn't sure how many hours I'd been staring at the map looking for a clue that pointed towards the real killer. I wonder if the clue is in one of the pictures in the corner. Who's that gray-haired guy? Is that Kawahara-kun? Maybe. Is that Onoe in Nono? Or is that Onoe in Senri? I think that's Onoe. I mean, is that Nono in Senri? Or is that Nono in Serica? I think it's Serica in that picture. I had until tonight. It was past midnight. November 4th would be here. And then the final return of the New Gen Madness murder could happen at any time. You think it's the final one, but it's going to keep on going until you awaken. The killer's probably getting ready right now. Haida's death, October 23rd. Was it really October 23rd or was it 24th? I thought we had agreed that she had like 20 hours to go back and kill herself or something. Or 10 or something. Who was their last target? Was it me? Oramura? Uki? Or someone I didn't know at all? Probably not you. Oramura had already said she would spend the night at Alba Dorm. I asked her to stay with Uki and the others all the times. The others at all times. I think it might be Oramura. With her power, we should be able to avoid a repeat of what happened to Yui. And I'm sorry, Kurisu. I'm a liar. I would find the real killer and make sure they came after me. And then I'd take revenge for Yui. What if they mind control you? What are you going to do about that? Yesterday I'd spoken with Aramura and the others and gone over the things that didn't make sense. When we talked, there were a few things we'd left to come back to later. First, the third case, Revolving Dead. Why did the police ignore us when he saw us inside the Love Hotel wearing Hekiho uniforms? The answer was probably what I initially thought, that the officer was being mind-controlled. The only reason I could think of that was that the killer wanted me to be at the scene, but I couldn't figure out why. So why not think about it another way? What if I hadn't gone there? Why would that cause a problem for them? I might not have noticed my power was telekinesis. I might not have seen a person die in front of me for real. I might not have noticed a connection between the stickers in the case. I think you would have noticed this anyway, even if you didn't see someone die. You might have realized this at some point, but this is the only thing. It's true that I witnessed Kakita's son's death, but I'd seen more people die during the Shibuya earthquake. This wasn't the first time I'd seen someone's death, that's true. I should try something else. What would have happened if I hadn't gone to the Love Hotel? It's true, that's where I met Aramura and Kunosata-san, which is how I learned I was a Gigalomaniac. But it wasn't through this that I learned I could use telekinesis. I should rethink this. Damn, I got 2 for 2 wrong. Holy shit. What would have happened if I hadn't gone to the Love Hotel? That's right, I might not have noticed the connection between the stickers and the case. I've taken the video without even thinking about it, and after analyzing 100 times, I found the sumo sticker. And then I found the other stickers at the other murder sites. Then I made a video connecting the murders to the sumo stickers and uploaded it to the internet. Because of that, our minor little newspaper club had got an incredible number of hits.
いや待て。じゃあ犯人は新聞部のために僕をあの現場へ誘導したっていうのか。そんなバカなことあるわけないだろ。
No, wait a second. Did the killer send me there to benefit the newspaper club? That's ridiculous. I frowned and crumpled up the paper where I'd written newspaper club site hits and threw it in the trash. Then I glared at the map again. Ooh, but what if you're on the money? I looked at the next note that we'd marked to come back to.
4番目の事件。ごっつぁんですの渡部についてか。
It's about Watabe and the 4th incident, so morbidly obese. The real reason their site had gotten so many hits was that Watabe, the famous internet journalist, had gotten involved. That's why he decided to hold an interview with us, but just like I'd said yesterday, I couldn't figure out why. The interview would have done nothing but fuel the flame more. So I guessed that Watabe had already been under the control of the killer.
待てよ。ということは、渡部とは逆に犯人にとっては僕らのディスカッションにメリットがあったということにならないか。
Wait, which means the killer stood to gain something from having Watabe meet with us, right? Who stood to gain by having Watabe come to Hekiho? Hekiho Academy Student Council, Hekiho Academy Newspaper Club, Hekiho Academy Literature Club.
Soだ。最大のメリットがあるのは僕ら新聞部じゃないか。
That's right, we in the newspaper club were the ones who stood to gain something. Are they trying to say that it's Onaway who's behind this? Seems ridiculous. I glanced at the paper I just thrown in the trash. There were newspaper club site hits. We're already kind of famous because of the video we uploaded about the sumo stickers. The arrival of Watabe, the famous reporter, only increased that. And just as the discussion was about to start, Watabe had become a victim of the return of the new gen madness. What could be more sensational than that?
まるで僕らの新聞部を有名にしようとしてるみたいだ。
It's like they were trying to make the newspaper club famous.
どうして犯人はそんなこと。
But why? And after that, the newspaper club got deeper and deeper into the case. And then the case became more than just something that we reported on. We went through things that no high school newspaper club could have ever experienced. It felt excitement, terror, and surprise.
くそ。新聞部は完全にもてあそばれてる。
Damn it, they've just been toying with the newspaper club. So like, oh, is it Wakui? Certainly not. Maybe, it could be. He's the advisor, right? Part of that was the attack on me and Aramura by the pyrokinetic. Didn't really do much for increasing their foot traffic at the very least. I don't know, internet traffic, maybe that's a different story. Part of that was the attack on me and Aramura by the pyrokinetic. Even then, the killer had shown signs of toying with us.
あの時、僕らを襲ったパイロキネシストの正体は南沢千里じゃなく、ハイダリコという他人だった。
It wasn't Minamisawa Senri who attacked us, it was another woman named Haida Riko. Is that true though? Because why was her leg injured? And why was she partly burned? Did they burn her and then make her like injure herself? I guess you could do that. But the killer had Minamisawa Senri's ID card. That was what had fooled us. and had almost sent the case off in the wrong direction.
でもあの ID カードの謎だけは昨べようやく解けた。
But last night I finally solved the mystery of the ID card. Because I'd seen this about Minasawa Senri's ID card in Kurusu's notes. Kurusu put ID card under memorial, but killer read her mind and dug it up. Kurusu hid an ID card in her room, but killer read her mind and stole it. Kurusu remembered design of ID card and killer read her mind and copied it. It's this one. That's right. This is what it said in Kurusu's notes. Senri's ID card. No one but me knew that I buried it under the memorial in remembrance of her. The killer had to read my mind to dig it up. The killers can read minds. It was safe to assume that she was right. The killer had read her mind and taken the ID card from the memorial. ID card's hidden in memorial. Killer took it out and gave it to Hidoriko. But what was the reason? Well, I mean, it seems pretty obvious, right? To make you think Hidoriko was Minasawa Senri.
真犯人はどうして南沢千里が僕を襲ってきてるように見せたかったんだ。一体何を狙って。
Why did the killer want to make it look like Minasawa Senri was attacking us? What was the point? They tried to expose human experiments by making Minasawa Senri famous, tried to terrify me by bringing up past trauma, tried to drive Ito, who loved Senri, into committing crimes. This isn't true. Ito never met Senri, tried to expose human experiments. No, that can't be right. The killer didn't seem to have any noble goal like that. Think again. Yeah, I guess
真
it.
犯人はどうして南沢千里が僕を襲ってきてるように見せたかったんだ。一体何を狙って。
Why did the killer want to make it look like Minasawa Senri is attacking us? What was the point? I mean, Why is the left one bad? You just said no, they didn't have any noble goal like that. But like, why not? I mean, I guess they kill Gigalomaniacs, but I assume most of the Gigalomaniacs are not like test subjects, I suppose. They're just people, kind of like Takaru. So I guess it would have to be the middle one. That's right, it felt like the killer was using Minasawa Senri to take advantage of my trauma. In fact, I felt terrified many times because of that.
いや、ちょっと待ってくれ。ってことは。
No, wait, that means... That means it was someone who knows about your trauma, right? What, it's Onaway? I spoke aloud without even realizing it.
真犯人の狙いは
Killer isn't...
新聞部じゃなくこの僕だっていうのか。
The killer isn't after the newspaper club. They're after me?
そんなバカな。
That's impossible. There's no way they could have committed all these murders just to mess with me. It made no sense. It was far too elaborate. And for all the effort they put into it, there was something that didn't make sense about the incidents with Ito and Yui. Could it be Kawahara? I guess it would have to be, right? That was Revenge for a girl you once loved, too pathetic to be a motive. From the order, Uki, not Yui, should have been the next target. It makes no sense to turn Ito into killer if motive is vengeance. He didn't know her.
Soなんだ。あの事件、伊藤を犯人に仕立て上げる意味が全くない。
That's right, there's no point in making Ito out to be the killer.
いや、それどころか、伊藤を犯人にするのは明らかに間違ってる。
No, in fact, making Ito the killer was the wrong thing to do. So I guess that was the point. They didn't want people to actually think Ito was the killer. If the point was to make it look like this was Minamisawa Senri's revenge, there were other people who would make more sense. For example, though it's scary to even think about it, Minamisawa Senri's best friends, Kurusu and Kawahara. Maybe they weren't targets because they didn't want to hurt Kurusu and Kawahara? Which would mean Senri herself would be the biggest suspect. If one of them had committed the murder, the police never would have become suspicious at all. It's possible that we might not have even figured out that mind control is involved. The whole thing could have ended with the assumption that it was a plot to get revenge for an old friend. So why did the killer choose Ito when he wasn't involved? I guess you're right, to terrify you, to fuck with you. And why did they make him tell lies that would be easily found out? What was the point? It's like they're trying to tell us that Ito was just a puppet and the real killer was someone else. Suddenly I stood up from my chair. Is that what they're after? The killer deliberately chose Ito, who had no motive at all, to commit the crime? Of course we'd realize that immediately and started looking even harder for the real killer. But none of the cops, except for Shinjo-san, would believe in psychic powers, adding the media speculation and the public's confusion, interest would only grow. That was exactly what happened. More and more pundits and commentators were arguing over whether Ito, whom they always called Boy A, was really the killer. And of course, multiple threads showed up on @channel simultaneously declaring both his innocence and guilt. There were even threads speculating about who the true killer might be, and they showed no signs of stopping. And tomorrow was the 4th. From midnight tonight to midnight tomorrow, the whole city would be waiting with bated breath to see the killer's next move. What if the killer actually planned all this? It was like they were challenging me to a game. They lured me in with their turn to the new-gen madness, which they knew I'd take an interest in. They used Minamisawa Senri to drive me into a corner from which I couldn't escape. They were moving everyone around for their own ends, both wrong-siders and self-proclaimed right-siders like chess pieces on a board. And they wanted me, the other player, to try and stop the last murder on November 4th. The only person I know who has mind control, I think... Sorry, not mind control, mind reading. I mean, there was Yui, there was Yamazoe, but I think it's actually the Empress. I put my hand on my forehead and stared at the map, unable to believe it. That was the only reason? They killed all those people just for that? That's why they did that to Yui? No, this is a delusion. This is all my delusion. I could hear that I was whispering to myself.
社会全体を揺るがすような壮大で緻密な陰謀が。
That's right. There has to be some greater conspiracy going on here. Some huge conspiracy that'll shake the world to its core. And we'd been caught up in that huge plan, and that's why this was happening to us. That had to be it. Suddenly heard the sound of a ringing phone. I quickly looked around for the source. It was my smartphone, which I kept inside my bag. I quickly pulled it out and looked at the screen.
新庄さん。
Shinjo-san had been visiting Ito in the hospital every day since he was the one in charge of Yui's case. If he was calling, that meant... I forced myself to stay calm as I hit the answer button.
宮代君か？
はい。伊藤、目を覚ましたんですか？
Yes, did Ito wake up?
ああ、2時間ほど前だ。
Yeah, 2 hours ago.
2時間って、なんでもっと早く知らせてくれないんです？
2 hours? Why didn't you tell me sooner?
無茶を言わないでくれ。他の捜査員が病室を出ていくタイミングを待ってたんだ。こうして君に電話してること自体、処分者なんだからな。
Don't ask me for the impossible. I was waiting for the other officers to leave the room. If they even caught me talking to you, I'd be punished.
で、伊藤は無事なんですね。
But what about Ito? Is he okay?
ああ、意識レベルは改善されてきた。話もできる。ただ、どうだ、久野里さん。
Yeah, he's a lot more alert. He can talk, but... Well, Kunosata-san. I could hear Kunosata-san's voice on the other end of the phone.
大脳新皮質だけでなく海馬や言語中枢にもダメージを負っている。無理をさせたらその後のことは知らないぞ。
There's damage not only to his neocortex, but his hippocampus and language center too. I can't guarantee the damage won't be permanent if he pushes himself too hard.
という状態だ。それでも伊藤君がどうしても君と話したいと言ってる。
That's the situation, but he says he wants to talk to you anyway.
はい。
いいか、変わるぞ。
Ready? I'm putting him on.
はい。
Okay. I gulped down the saliva in my mouth. Suddenly, I felt a terrible uncertainty in my heart. What was I supposed to say to Ito? Even if he'd been mind-controlled, he was still the one who chopped up my little sister. But I didn't hear any sound come from the phone.
伊藤。
I heard the sound of a deep breath on the other side of the phone.
伊藤、大丈夫か？
Ito, are you okay? In the end, that was all I could say.
宮代。
あ、僕だ。
Yeah, it's me.
許してくれ。頼む。
Forgive me. Forgive me. Please.
何？
What?
俺はゆいちゃんのこと殺し。
I killed Yui-chan.
いい。それ以上言わなくていい。
No, don't say another word. I tried to cut him off, but he ignored me and started crying.
でもゆいちゃんはお前の大事な妹じゃないか。なのに俺がこの手で。ダメだ。俺が死んだくらいじゃこの罪は償えない。償えないだろ、宮代。
But Yui-chan was her little sister, and I killed her with my own hands. It's no good. Even if I killed myself, it wouldn't atone for this, would it, Miyashiro?
なんだよそれ。死ぬとか言うな。
What are you talking about? Are you saying you're going to die?
しっかりしろ、伊藤君。
Snap out of it, Ito-kun. Shinjo-san's yells overlapped with my words.
いいか。僕はお前がユイにあんなことをしたとは思ってない。本当の犯人は別にいる。
Listen to me. I don't think you did that to Yui. Someone else is the real killer.
本当の犯人。
The real killer?
ああ、お前は無実なんだよ。
Yeah, you're innocent.
何でもいい、思い出してくれ。お前誰かに何かされたんだよな。なあ。
Just try to remember. Someone did something to you, right? Right?
誰かに何か
Someone did something.
そうだ。お前に思考誘導をかけたやつは誰なんだ？
That's right, who's the one controlling your mind? Kunosato, probably. Suddenly I heard him scream in pain on the other end of the phone.
伊藤。
どうしたおい
What's wrong? Hey.
ストップだ。やめさせろ。脳波がおかしい。
Stop it. Make him stop. His brainwaves are abnormal.
何
It's funny how, Kunosato is here.
思考誘導が残ってる。情報を引き出せないようにしてあるぞ。これは。
His mind's still being controlled. It's set up to keep us from getting information out of him. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Mio, for doing that. What?
このままだと海馬をやられる。
At this rate, it'll destroy his hippocampus.
聞こえたか宮代君終わりだ切るぞ
You know, it kind of makes sense that the one who's mind controlling people, who I think is Kunosato, is also a brain scientist. Did you hear that, Miyashiro-kun? We're done. I'm hanging up.
待ってくれ電話いらないでくれ
Go, wait, please wait. Don't hang up. He's about to say Kunosato. Ito-san screams, cut him off.
思い出せそうなんだもう少しで何か
I can almost remember just a little more. Come on, come on. He's gonna say it.
伊藤君
But he might die.
伊藤、もういい、やめろ。
Ito, that's enough. Stop. But Ito didn't stop. He was trying his hardest, all while enduring horrific pain, to tell me something.
宮代あれは
I
あれは確か物質だ
Miyashiro, I think it was in the club room. Oh, no way? Oh, please don't tell me Kazuki. That'd be fucking stupid. I would be really disappointed if it was Kazuki. That would not be a fun. Aramura? I don't know.
物質？
The club room?
いつだったかわからない俺の他にもう一人誰かがいて
I don't remember when. There was someone else there with me. There was a time when Shinji was in the room alone with Onoe. That did happen. We know this. I don't remember if... Yeah, I think it was the club room. They were like... He opened the door, and he found two people he wasn't expecting. Onoe? Ito? What are you doing here? Oh, you know, we're just sent here after a little while, something, something. Could be that.
ダメだもうよせ
Could also be Wakui, the club advisor, but... I don't know, it seems a bit stupid. No, no more.
うるさいまだ宮代と話してんだ切るな
Shut up, I'm still talking to Miyashiro. Don't hang up.
伊藤。
Oh my god, Ito's about to pull the clutch with the sentry.
ゆいちゃんの敵が取れるならこんな頭どうなったっていい
If I can avenge Yui-chan, I don't care what happens to my mind. He's about to make a LeBron level layup right now. LeBron level. Is that expose someone? Even from here, I could sense his incredible determination. Is it Kunosato? Is it Kunosato?
宮
Are you listening, Miyashiro?
あ、聞いてる。
Yeah, I'm listening.
そいつとしばらく話してて、そしたらそうだ、いきなりスマホでお前の写真を見せてきたんだ。
I talked with them for a while, and then, that's right, they showed me a picture of you on a phone. So it's Karusu.
僕の写真
A picture of me?
あれはどんな写真だったか。でも驚いたのは覚えてる。
Yeah, I don't remember what the photo was, but I remember I was surprised.
なんで驚いたのか。そうだ、宮代が楽しそうにしてたんだ。青葉寮の人たちとあんな宮代初めて見たから。
I was surprised because you looked so happy. You were with the people from Alba Dorm. I'd never seen you look like that before. A picture from Alba Dorm? What is he talking about? There were no photos like that.
それでそうだ、そいつは笑いながら指さしたんだよ。
Then, that's right, I remember. They laughed and pointed at someone.
この子を殺せって。
Kill this girl, they said. Yui? It was Yui? What? Yui is the girl who... Yui pointed at someone? Or Yui... Or they pointed at Yui? The killer had a picture of me and Yui together.
それで俺怖くなって逃げようとしたらいきなりドアからもう一人入ってきて。
Oh, I get it. Okay. I misunderstood. He held out the phone. There was a photo of him with his family. Yui was in the photo, the person holding the phone, to kill this girl while pointing at Yui in the photo. Okay. I got scared and tried to run away, and then someone else opened the door and came in.
その二人がやめろ、やめてくれ、何すんだよ、やめろ。
And the two of them, stop it, stop! What are you doing? Stop! Oh my god, it's the Empress in Kawahara, isn't it?
いたいた。
おい、伊藤君。
His mind had finally reached its limits. There was one last scream of terror and then nothing. He didn't answer, no matter how many times I yelled his name. You don't think it... Wait, is it possible Kuno Sato had somehow found... Fucking... Do you think Kuno Sato found Takeru's phone? Because remember when Takeru went into the basement, right? And then Kunosato came shortly after into the basement. But Yamazoe also said she put the phone back where she left it. So maybe Kunosato encountered the phone and picked it up on the way. No, but then if that was the case, then Takeru would have seen the phone as well. There was one last scream of terror and then nothing. He didn't answer, no matter how many times I yelled his name. All I heard was meaningless mumbling. He didn't seem to know where he was or what he was doing anymore. Is this the same thing that happened to the patients in the basement? How they would have, like, they weren't all there anymore? Or is this like a completely different thing? Like, they both had brain stuff happen to them, obviously, but is it the same kind of brain stuff? Because one was experiments, so this one is mind control? He didn't seem to know where he was or what he was doing anymore.
宮代君、残念だが、もう電話は。
But Miyashiro-kun, I'm sorry, but he can't talk anymore.
久野里さんに代わってください。
Give the phone to Kunosato-san.
いいから早く。
Just do it, hurry! A moment later, Kunosato answered the phone in a cold voice.
何か用か。
Do you need something?
お願いです。人を助けてください。
Please, help Ito.
こいつに無理をさせたのはお前だろう。今さら何を言っている。
You're the one who made him talk. Why are you asking me for this now?
この事件が解決したら僕のこと実験台にしたっていいです。だからお願いします。
Once this is over, you can use me as a guinea pig for your experiments, so please. I heard a mocking laughter in her voice.
ほう。今の言葉、確かに聞いたぞ。
Oh? I'm going to take you seriously, you know.
やりたければ勝手にしてください。だから伊藤を。
Do whatever you want, just save Ito.
わかった。できるだけのことはしてみよう。ただし、過度の期待はするなよ。
Fine, I'll do what I can, but don't get your hopes up too much. Then she hung up the phone. No matter how many times I called back, she didn't answer. Maybe one of the other police officers besides Shunjo-san had come into the room.
伊藤。
At the very end, he'd endured horrific pain just to give me that information. Thinking back, what he told me was crucial. It was a cold autumn evening, but I could still feel a cold sweat forming on my forehead.
伊藤に思考誘導をかけた犯人が伊藤と一緒にこの部室に。
The person who controlled Ito's mind was once here in this room. And it was Ito alone with someone else. Wait a second. I got scared and tried to run away. Then someone else opened the door and came in. That was Takaru. Takaru opened the door and came in. He was alone in the room with Onoe. I tried to drive my tired, exhausted mind to fit in this last piece of the puzzle.
そんなバカな。それじゃまるで真犯人が。
That can't be. That makes it sound like the real killer. Like the real killer had to be one of us. I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. But that was a hint Ito had given me. And maybe that hint was also...
犯人からのメッセージだとしたら。
Maybe that was also a message from the killer. That's true, it could be a message from the killer. The fact that Ito had woken up right before November 4th, the fact that he'd given me that information, it all seemed like part of the killer's next move.
そっちがその気ならこっちだってやってやれ。
Damn it, if that's what you want, then I'll play along. Wait a second. Onoe was the only other person who knew that Takaru dropped his phone in that building. It's true that Takaru went back home and told Kurusu, and then Kurusu immediately texted Senri, I believe. But also there's a scene where Nono says she took out her phone and it had a photo of Takaru and all the other people at Alba Dorm happy. So is that not just saying that Kurusu had the phone? Because I'm getting conflicting pieces of information. There was specifically a scene where Kurusu said, I took out my phone. And then there was the photo that that was described. So that would point towards Kurusu. But there's also a specific scene, exactly as it played out, where Onoe was in the room with Ito. So who is it? Or is it both of them? Damn it, if that's what you want, then I'll play along. Even if it's just what you want, I will find you. And also there's that weird moment with Onoe where she was like, find the truth, don't give up on yourself or something, or like believe in yourself, something like that. Which is weird. But also, the reason we deduce that the sumo stickers that Watabe barfed up at the 4th New Gen incident was that there were fake stickers, so the psychic behind it wouldn't get a reaction. But Onoe is definitely, one, definitely not a psychic, and two, wasn't there when Watabe barfed up the stickers, so it wouldn't have mattered. So it's pointing away from Onoe, unless Onoe is collaborating with a psychic, but she herself is not a psychic. I will find you. Ito's first hint. The killer was talking with Ito in private in the newspaper club room, which meant that it was someone close enough to Ito to have a chat like that.
しかも新聞部の部室にいてもおかしくない人物
Someone who would belong in the newspaper club. By process of elimination, who can I rule out? Which of these people can't be a suspect? It was probably safe to take Shinjo off the list of suspects. Ito and Shinjo only met after I'd gotten the call from my old smartphone. Yeah, it was safe to rule him out. Yeah, I could take Kawahara-kun off the list. He was friends with Kurusu, but not that close to Ito. Because of Kurusu, he didn't like the newspaper club. It was hard to imagine two of them talking in private here. I'd only met Kunosato-san. That's right, it was after Ito had faked the call. We hadn't met before that point. Which meant it didn't match with Ito's evidence. I could eliminate her. Yeah, I could definitely rule out Uki. That was the call from my missing phone that Ito had received. And there was that call from missing phone that Ito received. At first, I thought that was her doing, but now I know Ito had done that all himself. If she and Ito were working together, there would be no need for him to install that app. He could have just had Uki make the call. So I could rule her out. I mean, you can be part of the newspaper club and student council, right? It was true that Aramura wasn't part of the newspaper club. She was known to come in here from time to time. She'd probably talk to Ito while they were alone once or twice. It's too early to rule her out. No, I can't just rule out anyone, even Kurusu. Think carefully. There must be someone else I can rule out. Mr. Wakaru is a newspaper club's advisor. He would come by the newspaper club sometimes. He'd probably spoken with Ito sometimes. In other words, I couldn't rule him out. Yashiro Takaru, that's me. I know I'm not the killer, so I can rule myself out. But I've experienced for myself just how terrifying mind control is at Cafe Lax. After that, it's very possible that I could have been involved in the crimes and just haven't realized it. That's right, trust no one. It's not safe to rule anyone out, even myself. I could rule out Kazuki. Even when she was in the club room, she was always playing ESO2. She never spoke to anyone. Even when she was alone with Ito, she never would have talked to him. Kazuki Hana, Yamazoe Uki, Kinosato Mio, Shinjo Takashi, Kawahara Masashi. Are we making a mistake ruling out Kazuki? I could definitely rule out these 5. Which left?
そして伊藤の言葉からさらに絞り込むなら
If I use Ito's evidence to narrow it down further,
そいつとしばらく話してて、そしたらそうだ、いきなりスマホでお前の写真を見せてきたんだ。
That's right, they showed me a picture of you on a phone. The killer had a picture of me, and a picture of me at Alba Dorm with Yui. If I was smiling, that was a pretty old one. If nothing else, it had to be from before I left to go live by myself in the park.
そんな昔の写真を伊藤に見せることができるのは
The only ones who could show Ito that picture were probably... There were only 3 people who could have done it. All my old photos of myself and the people at Alba Dorm had been lost along with my cell phone at H Tokyo General Hospital. That phone still hadn't been found yet. In other words, since I didn't currently have any photos like that, it couldn't be the killer. For a moment I was relieved, but then I realized my mistake. When had someone become controlling Ito's mind? I didn't know. Maybe it was from before I dropped my phone. So it was possible that I could have shown Ito the old photo. In other words, I couldn't rule myself out.
そんな昔の写真を伊藤に見せることができるのは
The ones who could show Ito that picture were probably... Karusu would have had pictures of everyone from Alba Dorm, obviously. And probably old photos of me too. Which meant she fit the criteria of the real killer.
そんな昔の写真を伊藤に見せることができるのは多分
The only ones who could have shown Ito that picture were probably... Sariko was my childhood friend. She'd known me for longer than anyone else here. Of course, she probably had plenty of old photos of me. And when I'd lived at Alba Dorm, she'd come over almost every day. She'd gotten along with everyone. Of course, she'd have a photo of Yui, too. In other words, she fit the criteria to be the real killer. That's horrifying.
そして残ったのはこの3人か
So I'm left with these 3, huh? It could be all 3. Or maybe just these 2. Pursed my lips to stare at the photos on the map.
この中に真犯人がいる
The real killer is one of these 3 people.
クルス尾上あるいは僕
Kurusu, Onoe, or me.
ニュージェネの狂気の再来事件で能力者たちを無残に殺しユイをあんな姿に変えた犯人が
One of us was the person who killed all the psychics and did that to Yui? Maybe not. Maybe not to that degree. But they might have been involved. I think we can say it's Onoe. I think we literally saw that happen. They come with a lot of different theories, but looking back at them, they all seem so impossible. Karusu's note said that it might have been somewhat a guy because of the makeup thing. But I think the makeup thing was something that neither of them would have known. It was because she wanted to like feel confident in herself or feel like she was liked without her makeup. So I don't even think that was related at all. I think that's a red herring and just like a test of how good you're paying attention. At some point, the setting sun had disappeared beyond the artificial horizon created by the city's skyline, and night was falling. How many hours were left until November 4th began? We know Onoe's not a psychic. I don't think Karusu's a psychic. Well, actually, I do think Karusu's a psychic. I grabbed my bag and ran out of the room. I want something. Some form of unshakable evidence. Evidence proving who the killer was.
いや違うそうじゃないんだ
No, that's not right. That's not right. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted is proof that neither Kurusu, Serika, nor I was the killer. I pushed my way through the media camps that still crowded around the clinic and ran inside just as Uki was coming out of the exam room. She was holding Yuto's laundry and she nearly spilled it on the floor when she saw me. Takuru-san, shh.
ゆうとくん、お薬を飲んでやっと眠れたんです。だからお願いです。
Yuto-kun took his medicine and finally fell asleep, so please.
そんなに慌ててののさんに何か。
Oh, why are you in such a hurry? Do you need to talk to Nono-san?
大事な話なんだ。今どこに？
It's important. Where is she right now?
さっきまで私と一緒にゆうとくんのお世話を。今は自分のお部屋だと思います。
She was just with me in Yuto-kun. I think she's in her room right now.
そうか。
I see. I reminded Uki to make sure that once the fourth began, she was never to let herself be alone. Then I headed up the stairs to the dorm.
クルス、いるか？
Kurusu, are you here?
クルス。
I knocked on the door, but there's no answer. That was strange. If she was in the room, she would have been able to answer. Did she get killed? Did she just get killed? Is she actually a psychic? I softly turned the doorknob. It wasn't locked. I opened the door just a little and looked inside. The lights were off and the room was pitch black. Don't tell me the killing. Wait, it's November 3rd, right? Not November 4th?
もう寝たのか？
Did she go to sleep already? If I'm correct that Kurusu has the ability to read Hakuru's mind, then she already knows that he knows. Oh, the music. Maybe she wasn't feeling well. She tried her best to hide it, but ever since Yui had died, she'd been a mess. She wasn't eating much, and she clearly lost weight. It hurt to look at her.
なあ、大丈夫か？父さん呼んでこようか？
Hey, are you okay? Should I call Dad? I spoke softly as I came inside and approached the bed.
Huh?
No one was there. She wasn't lying in the bed or the sofa or sitting at the desk.
どこ行ったんだ？あいつ。
Where the hell did she go? I turned on the lights, but the room was completely empty. I remembered that she said something about sleeping in my room before and checked there. But it was empty too.
おい、クルス！
I didn't want to wake you two. I still shouted as it ran downstairs.
ああ、先輩こんばんはっす。
Oh, Senpai, hey there. Harmora was in the dining room. She was flipping through the pages of a girl's magazine looking bored.
有村、すまないな。ウキのことよろしく頼む。
Harmora, sorry, but can you take care of Uki?
いやいや、私あの子の保護者じゃないっすよ。だいたい宮代先輩も狙われてるんですから、一緒にいないとダメでしょ。てか、私とウキのこと守ってくださいよ。
No, I'm not her guardian anyway. You're a target too, so you need to stay with us. Protect me and Uki both, why don't you? Harmora frowned and glared at me.
4日になったらそうする。それよりクルスを知らないか？
Anyway, have you seen Kurusu?
クルス先輩ですか？ついさっき出かけたみたいですけど。
Kurusu senpai? She just left.
出かけた？どうして？
She left? Why? I looked at the clock and saw that it was already past 7 p.m. Ooh, maybe Kurusu's being mind controlled too. And she has been for a very long time.
さあ、
I looked at the clock and saw that it was already past 7 p.m.
慌てて出て行きましたよ。 声をかけてもなんだか生返事で。
I don't know, she was in a hurry. I tried to talk to her and she wasn't paying attention.
僕も出てくる。すぐに戻るから、とにかくウキを頼む。
I'm leaving too. I'll be right back, so just watch Uki for me. Maybe she discovered something at the same time? Or maybe she's just running away. I'm leaving too. I'll be right back, so just watch Uki for me.
ちょっと、だから私は保護者じゃないですって。先輩。
But wait, I told you I'm not her guardian, senpai. But I feel like if Karusu discovered something really important at the same time, she would have called Takaru to let him know as soon as possible, but instead she just ran off on her own. Maybe she didn't want to get Takaru in danger? She screamed at me, but I ignored her and ran downstairs. I had a terrible premonition, and my heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst out of my chest. As I was about to exit through the clinic door, Uki poked her head out from the examination room again.
タクルさん、すみません。静かに。
Takaru-san, I'm sorry, but can you please be quiet?
そうだったな。
Yeah.
何かあったんですか？
Did something happen?
いや、なんかクルスのやつが。
No, it's just that Karusu. Then something caught my eye in the examination room. It was Dad's computer, the one that Karusu had been using before. A pair of stereo headphones was plugged into the front audio terminal. I thought for a moment, then stopped and went to the examination room. Uki saw the look on my face and drew back a little as if she was scared.
父さんはいないのか？
Is Dad not here?
昼から患者さんの往診に出ています。ここだとマスコミの方がいて診察にならないって。
He went off to check on some patients this afternoon. He said he couldn't do it here with all the media around.
じゃあ、これは？
Then what's this? I pointed to the headphones and Uki looked troubled. She'd probably been told not to tell me. It was definitely Karusu who'd been using them. Of course, she wouldn't need these just to browse the internet, which meant I could guess what she was doing. She was
クルスのやつも嘘つきだ。
Karusu was a liar too. She was listening in on something? Like what? A bugged... There was a wiretap? Just like I turned out to be today. I turned on the computer and looked at the browsing history. She either didn't have a habit of deleting afterwards or had been such a hurry that she hadn't had time to do so. The history list was still there. When I clicked, I found a site with the first video from the return of the New Gen Madness, the Don't Look case.
またこれを見てたのか。
She was looking at this again? I put the headphones on and pressed play. I screamed and ripped them off. The volume was so loud that I thought it would blow out my eardrums. I could hear Yuto rolling around in the bed behind me. Uki put her hand over my mouth.
大きな声は。
So stop it, don't be loud. I made an I'm sorry gesture and then watched as the video kept playing at loud volume. That was close. I almost went deaf. Had the volume got set to maximum somehow, I quickly lowered it, then put the headphones back on and looked at the screen.
この動画を見てたんだよな、あいつは。
Was she watching this?
はい。
Yes. Uki's voice was soft, so she actually had been told to keep quiet about it.
これをずっと？
This whole time?
いえ、私その映像とっても怖くて見ないようにしてましたから。でもずっとじゃなくて何度も止めたり動かしたりしてた気がします。
No, the video really scared me, so I tried not to watch it, but I think she kept stopping and replaying the same section over and over.
そうしたら何かに気づいたみたいで、突然自分の部屋に用があるからしばらく優斗くんをお願いって。
And then she seemed to notice something. She suddenly told me that she needed to go to her room and asked me to watch Yuto-kun.
それ以上はあんまりわからないです。ごめんなさい。
I don't know much more than that, I'm sorry. Her shoulders slumped as if she was ashamed at her uselessness.
いや、ありがとな。
No, thanks anyway. I nodded and told her not to worry about it.
タクル兄ちゃん。
Big bro? Then I heard a frail voice.
タクル兄ちゃんでしょ？
That's you, right, big bro?
起こしちゃったか。ごめんな。
Did I wake you? I'm sorry.
すみません、ゆうとくん。
I'm sorry, Yuto-kun. It was Yuto. He hadn't been asleep after all.
いいんだ。
No, it's fine. I looked over at the bed and saw that the drugs had almost put him to sleep again. He was trying his best to keep his tired eyes open.
あのね、僕、知ってる。
I know what she was doing.
のの姉ちゃんね、何回も同じところだけ見てたよ。マウスを使う音とイヤホンから漏れてくる音でわかった。
Big Sis was looking at just one part over and over. I could tell from the sounds of the mouse and what was coming out of her headphones.
何回も同じところだけ。
Just one part over and over? She'd only been watching one part of the video, but why?
まさか。
No way. No way. I stared at the computer screen. Had Crusoe found something? Some clue that pointed to the killer? Did she find something in this video?
タクル兄ちゃん。
But big bro.
お姉ちゃんの敵を取れるかな。僕とお姉ちゃんをもう二度と会えなくした悪いやつ捕まえられるかな。
Can you take revenge for my sister? Can you catch the person who made it so? I'll never see my sister again.
ああ、任せとけ。僕が捕まえてやる。絶対に捕まえてやるからな。
Yeah, leave it to me. I'll catch them. I'll catch them no matter what.
お姉ちゃん。
Sis. Yuto started to cry, so I left him in Uki's care as I took the phone out of my pocket and dialed a number I knew very well. I grew more and more anxious with each passing ring.
クルス、どこ行ったんだよ。早く出ろよ。
Crusoe, where did he go? Pick up the phone.
まさか一人で犯人のところへ行ったんじゃないだろうな。やめろよ、お前。
You didn't go to find the killer yourself, did you? I told you not to do that. But this is exactly what you would have done if you found the killer first, right? I know exactly what you'd think. I suddenly felt like I could hear her voice.
いつまでも姉貴ぶるなよ。本当は泣き虫で臆病で僕に甘えてばっかのくせに。さっさと演じしろよ、バカ野郎。
How long are you gonna keep pretending to be my big sister? You're a crybaby and a coward, and you always rely on me, so pick up the phone, damn it. The only thing I heard was the endless sound of ringing. November 3rd, 2015, Tuesday. Uda Gawacho Shibuya. The path to Hekiho Academy. Crusoe was walking alone along an empty street. Her breathing was a little heavy. She'd been walking a long time and at a fast pace. She was wearing a school uniform. There was a school rule that said whenever you went on campus, you had to wear your uniform. It was funny to realize that she was obeying it even now. She just found a clue in the Don't Look video and asked a certain person to meet her at Hekiho Academy. The person said they couldn't be there immediately, but that they would call her when they got to school. So there was no need to rush. There was plenty of time until the other person would get there. That's what Crusoe told herself, but her body kept driving her forward.
スマホ。
Oh, my phone. She realized she hadn't looked at it in a long time. She must have been under more strain than she realized. She looked at it and saw several calls from Takaru and Aramura. She thought of stopping and heading back, but then sighed as she realized it was impossible. She couldn't go back to Albadorum now. If she saw Takaru's face, her determination would waver. Her determination would waver and she would change her mind. So now, the only thing she could do is go forward. Now that she'd realized the hidden truth.
ごめんね。やっぱり嘘つきだね。 私。
I'm sorry. I guess I'm a liar, after all. She apologized to her absent brother and tapped the phone in her pocket. Then she glared at the hill in front of her as she readied herself for what was to come. She had to rid herself of any kindness or sentimentality. Even if she didn't intend to have any mercy now, she might find herself having a moment of weakness later. At night at the academy was an ominous dark silhouette amidst the dazzling lights of Shibuya. It was as if it knew what was coming. Usually there's a guard in the room attached to the front gate. For some reason she couldn't see him. The air felt tense. She shook off her uncertainty and went inside. She went into the dark newspaper club and turned on the fluorescent lights. Carissa had decided to wait here for her call. When she arrived, she found something unexpected. It was the map that they'd put up to analyze the case, which had been taken down a while before. It was now back up on the wall, and there were several new pictures and pieces of information that she hadn't seen before. That was probably Takaru's doing. He'd been continuing to hunt the killer in secret too.
タクル、あなただって嘘つきじゃない。
Takaru, you're a liar too. She felt herself letting her guard down as she thought of Takaru and quickly shook her head. She brought a chair close to the wall and sat down and stared at the map. Takaru had said something once.
けど最近はその事件自体が逆に僕らを追ってきてるようなそんな気がするんだよ。
But now, it feels like the case is pursuing us. Looking back, several things had happened that could only be explained that way. Carissa decided that Takaru's life was in danger because he was a psychic, and that she was going to save him. But if the killer was just after Takaru's life, there are more direct ways to go about it. Instead, they enacted their turn to the New Gen Madness killings and claimed Yui's life in the process. It would have been easy for them to take Takaru's life as well, but just like Takaru had said, the case seemed to be slowly closing in on them from all sides, which meant
タクルの命じゃなくて、タクルに関する別の何かが目的。
they aren't after Takaru's life. They're after something else involving him. Is this another instance of them trying to collect like a code sample from him? So it would be Committee of 300 stuff. That was the only thing that made sense. But she couldn't figure out what it could be.
ただ、
But then she saw a piece of paper on the board. Haida had Minasawa's ID card. That impossible fact had swirled inside of her chest and sent her mind reeling. It was one of the reasons she figured out it was Haida Riko.
ただ、その目的を果たそうと事件の裏で動いている人間が誰なのか、それは分かった。
But I know who it is that's working behind the scenes trying to achieve whatever their goal is. It all started with the ID card that Minamisawa Senri had. That was, without a doubt, her real card, and no one but Kurusu could have known where it was. All Senri's possessions were lying beneath the memorial. Kurusu had put them there herself. All Senri's family had died in the earthquake. She had no surviving relatives. So after the memorial had gone up, Kurusu had put them there. Even Kawahara, the other boy who'd often played with them, didn't know that. It was a secret about Senri that only Kurusu knew. Had Haida Riko also knew that secret? But Haida Riko also knew that secret. No, she'd been given it. How was that possible?
思考盗撮。
Mind reading. The power to see other people's thoughts and memories. Kakita, the victim in the revolving dead case, had supposedly possessed it. The killer had used it to read Kurusu's mind. And that was how they were able to find Senri's ID card.
つまり犯人は私と接触したことのある誰か。
In other words, it's someone who I've made contact with. And now that she'd found what was hidden in the Don't Look video, she had no choice but to find them. But to fight them. She'd probably made contact with them more than once or twice, because they were one of her closest friends.
あなたとはどれくらいの付き合いになるんだったかしらね。
Wonder how long I've known you for. She suddenly remembered their smile, their whispered echo off the walls with no one to hear it. The countless after-school hours they'd spent together were some of the most important times in Kurusu's life. Meaningless conversations, shops they'd browsed together, but couldn't think of any special memories. That'd be crazy if it was actually Takaru. That was very painful for her. Because to Kurusu, the two of them were such natural parts of each other's lives. But I have to ask, I have to find out. Even if the answer meant that things would never be the same.
それともう一つ。
There's one more thing. Her thoughts went deeper. There's one more thing she had to ask. AH Tokyo General Hospital. That was where Takaru had seen Senri being experimented on 8 years ago. She'd been tied to a chair and was slowly going mad. When she then saw a boy that she didn't know, which was Takaru. She had no time to figure out who he might be. She shouted, "Help me!" without even understanding what was going on. And the boy heard what she cried out and ran. Was he surprised at the horrible scene he saw, or afraid? It was probably both. And Kurusu couldn't blame him for either. At the time, he was just a 4th grader, a 10-year-old boy. There's no way he could have saved Senri. That's why Senri didn't hate him for that. Kurusu knew that. She tried to tell Takaru many times and failed. She failed to tell him about her one big mistake. That was why she had always been suspicious. And that was the reason why she now knew the truth. Because that day, 8 years ago, when that boy had witnessed Senri being experimented on, he was alone. Was he? I thought Onoe was there. He was outside the room where the experiment was being done. Just a single timid boy peeking through a tiny crack in the door. There had been no one next to him.
けど、タクルはあの時、二人で目撃したと言っている。
But Takaru said he saw it with another person, and that was Onoe. At first, she thought that Takaru was just confused. He'd been in a coma for over a year, and he was simply mistaken. But then that person had said the same thing. That they were together. It had been a thorn in her heart for a long, long time.
本当にあなたは、あの時タクルと一緒にいたの？
Were you really with Takaru back then? She reached out towards the computer. But in the end, she let her hand simply float in the air. She'd seen the video dozens of times. It wouldn't be any different here than it was in Alba Dorm. Nor would the secret it concealed. Nor would it change what she was about to do. There was no changing any of it, it seemed. It took a long time before they called her. Oh, no, I think it was? She heard a Garo Froggy in the video. It took a long time before they called her. It was almost midnight. But Kurusu didn't get frustrated. She simply waited calmly. She assumed it would be around this time. They were probably waiting for November 4th, the day of the New Gen Madness.
そして私を。
And then they're going to do to her what they did to the other victims. She felt her phone vibrating, took it out of her pocket. Takaru was still calling despite the late hour. He sent text messages too. Of course, Caruso hadn't answered at all. Was it him again? She thought as she looked at the screen. The name she'd been waiting for had appeared on the screen. She answered the call and put the phone up to her ear.
もしもし。
Hello? She heard a voice she knew well on the other end. Sorry to keep you waiting, they said.
いいのよ。そんなに待ってないから。それにここへ呼んだのは私の方だし。
No, it's okay. I haven't been waiting that long. And I was the one who called you here. Did Onoe have the ability to re-lock doors? Or create knocks on walls? I'm confused. Well, I guess if she's working with someone else, then maybe. No, it's okay. I haven't been waiting that long, and I was the one who called you here.
それじゃあ屋上でいいかしら。待ってるわね。
Yeah. Yeah. How about the roof then? Yeah, I'll be waiting. How does Caruso... Oh! I was just about to say, how does Caruso know that Takaru was incorrect? That there was someone with him in the basement when he saw Senri being tortured. And I was like, oh, because I figured it out. Caruso's a psychic. He can read his brother's mind. He read his brother's mind. Saw no one there. But for some reason, Takaru sees someone there. She ended the call and went to put the phone back into her pocket. But suddenly she stopped and called up a picture on the screen. It was a photo of her family at Alba dorm, the same one as the one that was Takaru's treasure. She stared at it for a while, then placed the phone on the edge of the table, the place where she always sat when she was with the newspaper club. If something happened to her, she wanted someone else to save it. And then she looked around the room and bowed.
お世話になりました。
Thank you for everything. She turned off the lights and the room became dark as the abyss. Don't act like you're never coming back. He wasn't by her side to tell her that. Damn it. I was pulling my hair on frustration. I'd already watched this video 100 times. It was, of course, the video of Otani, the Don't Look victim. He wept tears of blood, lost his arm, which had dyed his desk red, and died. Not only was I watching a shocking, gory video over and over again, I was desperately searching for what Caruso had found. I felt like I was going crazy. Caruso, answer me. Caruso. Each time I finished watching the video, I called her phone. But she never answered. I slammed my finger down the end call button and started up the video again. Maybe it was something in the user comments, not the video itself. I thought it might be, so I checked every one, but nothing had struck me as unusual. It was just a flood of meaningless comments going from right to left. And only a few of them were actually worried about Otani, which just pissed me off even more. What the hell am I supposed to find in this video? Maybe it's not something visual but audio. That's why she had her headphones cranked up. I expanded it to fill the screen. I tried slowing it down, but there was nothing. Had Caruso found something here?
Takuru-san.
There was a hesitant knock at the door and Uki came in. She had probably just been crying with Yuto. She was rubbing her swollen red eyes. Where's Yuto?
先生が帰ってきて見てくれてます。お薬を飲んだのですぐに眠れるだろうって。
The doctor came back and was looking at him. He took his medicine, so he'll go to sleep soon, he says. Her voice was still a little teary.
何かわかりましたか？
Did you figure something out?
いや、ダメなんだ。
No, I've got nothing. Uki looked very concerned as she watched me grit my teeth.
私、ののさんが何かを発見したとき、近くにいました。
I was close to Nono-san when she found something.
あ
なんだか、いつもの冷静なののさんじゃなくて、だから、とても心配です。
She wasn't as calm as she usually was, so I'm very worried. Uki seemed to be remembering what had happened. Seeing her like that only made me more worried.
クルスのやつ、どんな感じだったんだ？
How'd she act?
それが、突然立ち上がって、そんなのは嘘だとか、ありえないとか、最初すごくうろたえていて。
Well, she suddenly stood up. Then she said, "It can't be true." She seemed very shocked.
うろたえた？
Shocked?
はい、顔色も真っ青だったんです。
Yes, she was also really pale. Shocked and pale. That mean that she knew who the killer was? And it was someone she didn't want to be the killer.
やっぱり僕か尾上か。
So was it me or Onoe? And then I shook my head.
ごめんなさい。本当はそこで私がののさんの力に慣れていればこんなことには。
I'm sorry. If I'd been able to help her, then this would have never happened.
あ、いや、それはいいんだ。
No, it's not your fault. I tried my best to keep her from sensing my panic as I slowly asked her another question. For now, I want any hint, no matter how small.
ウキ、クルスは動画を見ていて何かに気づいたんだよな。それでそのシーンを何度も見直していた。
Uki, so Kurusu watched the video and figured something out, right? And she watched the scene over and over?
多分そうだったと思います。
Yes, I think so.
それがどのあたりかわからないんだったな。
What part was it? Oh, you don't know, right?
すみません。
I'm sorry. She looked down towards the ground. I quickly shook my hand at her.
いや、責めてるとかじゃないんだ。そうじゃなくて。
No, I'm not blaming you. I just... What should I do? What do I ask to get the hint I need?
ダメだ、わからない。
It's no good. I don't know. Armora's here. She might be able to narrow it down with her power. Tell me, Kurusu. Where's the clue? Come on, tell me.
情けないっすね、先輩。
You look so pathetic, senpai. And then, I suddenly heard a voice behind Uki. I looked up and saw Armora playing with her twin tails.
なんすかその顔。泣きそうじゃないですか。
What's that look? You look like you're about to cry.
うるさい。お前に関係ないだろ。
Shut up, it's got nothing to do with you. I yelled at her even though I knew I shouldn't. And Armora laughed.
関係なくないっすよ。そろそろ11月4日になるんですけど。ウキのそばにくっついてろって言ったの先輩でしょ？
Sure does. It's almost the 4th. You're the one who told me to stay by Uki's side.
すまない。
I'm sorry.
あと、クルス先輩のこと実は結構好きなんすよね、私。だから関係ないとか言われるとすっげームカつく。
And you know, I actually like Kurusu senpai a lot, so you saying that it's got nothing to do with me really pisses me off.
Eh?
Amora's face suddenly became serious, and then she yelled.
しっかりしなさい。そんなに焦ってたら気がつくものも気がつかないでしょ、このバカ。
Get a hold of yourself. You're panicking like this. You're not going to notice anything, you moron.
クルス先輩なら絶対に言うと思います。
That's what Kurusu senpai would say, I think.
有村。
ねえウキ、クルス先輩が何かにびっくりして、でその後映像を何度も見直したんだよね。
Hey Uki, you said that Kurusu senpai noticed something that shocked her, and then she watched the video again and again, right?
はい。
Huh? Yes, that's right.
その時ってどんな様子だったわけ？何かに気づいて驚いた後だよ。
How was she acting then after she noticed whatever shocked her? Armora put her hand on Uki's shoulder and started to ask more questions.
ののさんすごく真剣な顔になって怖いくらいでした。
She looked very serious. It was kind of scary.
で
Yeah, and?
イヤフォンにじっと耳を澄ませる感じで、こう何かを一生懸命聞こうとしてるというか。
She seemed to be listening carefully on her headphones as if she was trying to make something out.
うん。
And then I realized I'd missed something very simple.
僕は今まで何をやってたんだ。
What the hell have I been doing? Armo was right. I'd been panicking too much because I was so worried about Kurusu.
クルスは昨日もこの動画を見てたじゃないか。それで僕と喧嘩になった。
Kurusu was watching this video yesterday. That's why she and I got into that fight. But she wasn't wearing headphones then. And the computer had been set to maximum volume. What if that was deliberate?
どうしました先輩？
What is it, senpai?
音だ。
The audio.
画像じゃない。音に何かがあるんだ。
It's not the video, there's something in the audio. That's why Kurusu had worn headphones and set the sound to maximum.
有村、とりあえず聞いてくれ、これ。
Armora, just listen to this. I handed her the stereo headset that was connected to the computer. When I saw that she'd put them on, I set the volume to maximum and pressed play.
申し訳ない。この安売りセールしていた地図がありえないくらい硬くて。
That is so fucking loud. Holy shit! Oh my god. I'm about to lower the volume of my deck. The sound was so loud that she ripped the headphones off her ears. And then she threw them at me.
ちょっと私の耳をぶっ壊すつもりですか？
Are you trying to destroy my ears?
だろ？普通そうなるはずだ。
Right, that's what you'd normally say.
当たり前でしょうが。
Of course it is. That's right, normally you couldn't focus on anything with a sound this loud. In other words, what Kurusu had been listening to
音がほとんど入ってない部分だ。
was the part where there's barely any sound. I moved the video back to the start and played it at maximum volume.
はい。ではいつも通り3分くらい募集をかけるんで適当によろです。
Is it the knock that she was paying attention to? Okay, I'm gonna take 3 minutes for questions. Get to it. The scene with him in front of the computer was too loud to listen to. Is the knock the same as how Onoe knocks on doors? Scene with...
なんだよ。生放送中だっつうの。
Oh, come on, I'm streaming right now. The sound got a little better when he left the computer, but still heard at maximum volume. It was hard to imagine her listening to this part over and over again. Otani disappeared out of frame and I stopped being able to hear what he was saying. This was the part where people thought the killer had come in. But everyone, from the police to the internet users all over the country, had thought it would lead to the killer. It had been listened to millions of times in all. If it was in this part, someone would have found it already.
この先確か怖いんですよね。私あっち行ってます。行こうウキ。
The video gets scary after this part, right? I'll go over there. Let's go, Uki.
でも
Huh? But... Armor pulled Uki away by the hand. Uki turned and looked at me concerned.
ありがとう、ウキ。もう大丈夫だ。有村もありがとうな。
Thanks, Uki. I'm okay now. Thank you, too, Armora.
必ずクルス先輩を見つけてくださいね。
Make sure you find Kurusu-senpai, okay?
はあ、2人も4日になったら絶対に離れるなよ。トイレもだぞ。
Yeah, don't get separated once the fort starts, okay? Even in the bathroom. Fuck, he's right. They could get you even there.
ええ
何かあったら大声で叫べ。すぐに行く。
Yell loud if something happens, I'll be right there.
はい、お願いします。
Okay, thank you.
期待しないで待ってます。
Sure, but I'm not expecting much. Once I made sure that Armoro and Uki had gone up to the dining room, I started to check all the parts of the room that with white noise. Not here. Not here either. No, there's nothing here. Or in this scene. Nothing here either. It's gonna be the fucking Garo Froggy. There are small sounds mixed in with irritating white noise. It was harder than it looked to focus all your nerves on them. My hearing started to fade and I started to lose my sense of balance. My head felt heavy and suddenly I had a terrible headache. I grit my teeth and fought through the pain. Carissa had gone through this. In the end, she found something. I had to do the same thing. And then, I heard a tiny noise. I paused the video without even realizing I'd done so.
今の。
What was that? I put my finger on the headphone in my right ear and pushed it in deeper so I could hear better. And then I used my left hand to move the video back and press play again.
なんだこの音。
What was the sound? It was the scene where Otani was cutting what you described as cheese beneath the dim fluorescent lights. In between sounds of the knife, I could hear something else.
もう一回。
One more time. I played the video again.
この音、確かどこかで。
I know I've heard this sound before. I knew that sound. I heard it very recently, very close to me. I played it again and again. I concentrated everything I had on picking out the tiny sound from amidst the noise. There it is. What? I finally realized what it was. Suddenly I felt a cold pillar of ice had been pressed against my spine. No, you could call it sheer terror if you wanted to. My hands shook and sweat poured out of every pore in my body. It felt like the room was spinning.
嘘だろ。
This can't be real, can it? Shit. I slammed my shaking hands down the desk and the pain finally got them to do what I wanted. It took me several tries, but I finally managed to open my Pokécom and power it on. I yanked out the headphones of the PC and plugged an audio cable into my Pokécom.
嘘だ。
No. No, no, no. I kept screwing it up. I managed to load that scene into an audio editing software. I set the volume to maximum and set it on repeat. And then I hit the play button with my hand still shaking. This can't be real. I slammed the Pokécom down on the floor and called her on my phone. The phone rang and rang. Once, twice, 3 times.
やっぱりクルスはこの音に気づいてる。
Did Kurusu notice the sound? It kept ringing. 6 times, 7, 8. Oh, no way, mind controlled the cop. It was like she was ignoring me.
ダメだってない。
No, she's not picking up. I ended the call, and this time I pulled up Kurusu's number. I tapped the call button, but I got the same result.
なんでだよ。
Why? Why? He kept ignoring me. No matter how long I waited, I couldn't hear Kurusu's voice. Damn it all! I hung up the phone and ran out of the room without even knowing where I was going. November 4th, 2015, Wednesday. The roof was normally a place for students to laugh and talk, but under the cold moonlight, the empty benches seemed silent and sad. Kurusu looked at the benches and shivered once more. It wasn't just because of the cold, it was because she had realized that this place was truly empty. Of course it was. No one was allowed to be here at this hour. It was an isolated place where the warm light didn't reach, only the cold light did. No matter what happened here, the rest of the world wouldn't know. It wouldn't exist outside of this place.
おあつらえ向きすぎかしらね。
It almost seems too perfect. It was so perfect for her that it was almost sad, Kurusu thought. While Kurusu was waiting for her to arrive, she hadn't been thinking about the case. Strangely, she'd been thinking about her families and friends instead. What had she always said to her family before she left to come here in the morning? Did they smile? The younger students who'd helped with the student council's work. The talks she'd had with her classmates about the latest fads. The brief fights in the lunchroom, forgotten as soon as the bell rang to tell them to go back to class. Each time she started to lapse too deep into her memories, a cold wind would blow and pull her back into reality. And then she'd realize something with the self-abasing laugh. She knew it. The reason Nono wasn't thinking about the case was because that part of her was sure she already knew everything. If she asked, she would get the fatal answer that would lay bare the truth. And once she finally heard the answer, a strong wind blew as if to carry away her thoughts, and she closed her eyes for a moment. And when she opened them, she heard the sound of a rusty door opening.
のんちゃん？
Kursu's lips twisted a little when she heard her say that.
のんちゃんか。
It made her mad to hear herself called that. She felt heat rising from the bottom of her stomach. It was time to begin.
本当に悪かったわね。こんなところに呼び出して。
I'm really sorry to bring you out here so late.
ね。おのえ。
のんちゃん？
Did she realize that Kurusu was addressing her by her last name now? Or did she sense something instinctively? Sarika repeated herself, this time with a suspicious look on her face. She tried to get closer, but a glance from Kurusu stopped her. Sarika froze.
答えなさい。あなたなの？
Answer me. Was it you?
何が？
Was what me?
答えなさい。
Answer me. Kurusu repeated her words to her former best friend, the one person outside her family that she called by first name. What's the motive? Why? Is it really to avenge Senri? Are Senri and Sarika related? Sarika's expression didn't change. It was the same face Kurusu knew so well. The same look that Sarika wore when she bought a crepe and started wondering what was inside. Thinking back, the two of them went shopping together all the time. Onoe had insisted that she looked fine without makeup, and Kurusu had insisted on buying her some anyway. It had been a lot of fun. They were always together in the club. She had argued against Takuru's reckless plan, stopping Kazuki from pounding on the walls. The two of them were always amazed at the stupid things Itoku said. They'd always been laughing together. But now?
第一の事件。あそこにいたのはあなたよね。
You were there at the scene of the first murder, weren't you?
わかんないよ、のんちゃん。さっきから何を？
I don't know what you're talking about, Nonchan. Where's this coming from?
映像に音が入ってた。私のよく知ってる音がね。
There's a sound in the video, a sound I knew very well. In the Don't Look video, she'd heard that strange sound that Sarika's Garo Froggy always made. Serica had a bad habit of unconsciously fiddling with it whenever she was focusing on something. Kurusu took a step forward to stop herself from falling over and glared at Serica with a challenge in her eyes. That's right, Kurusu's glaring at Serica.
ちょっとのんちゃん
Wait, Non-chan.
答えなさいって言ってるでしょ
I told you to answer me. Serica staggered back to the sound of her loud footsteps. Finally, her expression changed. There was fear in it.
ユイは私たちの家族から消えてしまった。死んでしまったの。もう帰ってこないの。
Our family lost Yui. She's gone and she's never coming back.
どうしてあんなことをしたの
Why? Why did you take her away from us? Serica stayed quiet, that terrified expression still on her face. Was she really terrified by Kurusu? Or was she trying to fool her? Or... Kurusu took another step forward.
8年前のあの日、あの病院の地下にあなたはいたの？タクルと一緒に本当にいたの？
On that day 8 years ago, did you really go down to that hospital basement? Were you really there with Takeru?
答えられないわよね。だってあなたは絶対にあそこにはいなかったもの。それは私が一番よく知ってる。
You can't answer me, can you? Because you weren't actually there. I know that better than anyone.
それじゃあ、あなたは一体誰？
So, who are you? Kurusu's question was something she'd wondered about ever since Onoe had said she'd gone into that basement with him. She Ami-chan? It was the one last thing she'd been unsure of, which she'd kept quiet about to protect her own secret. Until a little while ago, it seemed like it didn't matter. She was willing to go her whole life without finding out, because Onoe Serica was someone she loved. But now?
言いなさい。あなたは誰？
Tell me, who are you? But Serica said nothing, not a word. Did she really not know anything? The thought crossed her mind for a moment, but she quickly kicked it away. That was just what she wanted to believe. She'd had suspicions about Serica for a long time, but she'd ignore them because she was too afraid to ask. The result of that had been Yui's death. Kurusu raised her hands and brought them together as if offering up a prayer. And the next moment... Yup, I knew it. She's a psychic. I fucking knew it. She has the ability to read her brother's mind. That's her power, methinks. She brought them down hard and straight as if swinging a sword. And of course, Onoe reacts because she can see it. She's a psychic too. She brought them down hard and straight as if swinging a sword. Serica moved back just a little. Her movement might have looked like a pure reflex, but Kurusu didn't miss it, which meant...
やっぱりそうなのね。
So I was right, huh? That was the answer to everything.
そうだったのね。
So, that was it, huh? Serica's face became blank and expressionless. She didn't frown or sigh her own failure. Her manner became that of a beautiful doll.
セリ
She was right. She'd been ready for it, but she still couldn't help but cry. She tried to stop herself. She gritted her teeth, but Serica's gaze wasn't fixed on her anymore. She stood, legs apart, as if judging the distance between herself and the thing in the seemingly empty space between them.
間違いない。
No question about it. She could see what Kurusu was holding. And now it was Serica's turn to look into her eyes. Her eyes were different than Kurusu had ever seen before. It was as if they saw everything.
違う。
No, that's not right. Suddenly Kurusu realized. It wasn't just a simile. Her eyes really did see everything. Oh, the sumo stickers? Oh, it was telepathy? A terrible twisted power to expose all of your most treasured secrets. Kurusu heard the sound of herself clenching her jaw, and then forgot the tears and turned herself over to the rage that was boiling within her. It had been 6 years since she'd rebooted it, and it was almost sad how easily it came into her hand. A D-sword. A monstrous blade that only those with the power to transform delusions into reality could wield. She refused to look away from the light that she'd never want to see again as she pointed the blade at her opponent. You were the one using Minamisawa Senri, weren't you? I don't want to hear that from you of all people, Kurusu no. Her voice made Kurusu shiver. And a blade even more wicked than her voice appeared in Serika's hand, opening like a blooming poisonous flower. It was beautiful. For a moment, Kurusu was blinded by the beauty of the weapon. She forgot that it threatened to cut her into her soft flesh. Serika leapt off the ground. She closed the distance between them in an instant. Kurusu brought down her own sword as hard as she could without even time to follow her movements. As she screamed, I'm sorry. She heard her own voice. Ooh. By the time she realized she was talking to Takeru, it was already too late. The light flashed in front of her as if driving the thought from her mind. Why? Why, Serika? The same thought kept going through my head like I was an idiot. I couldn't think straight. Why? What was she doing at a murder scene? Damn it. The saliva caught my throat as I moaned in pain. It took a lot of effort to keep myself from falling over. Damn it, I don't have time to waste here. How did he know it would be here? I stopped when I heard a sound. I was in front of a familiar place, but it wasn't the one I was heading to. I was on my way from Alba Dorm to Serika's condo in Daikenyama. Oh, this is Serika's condo? What was that? I saw something strange in the corner of my eye and looked up at the school building. The school at night was an imposing sight, and on top, I could see a feeble light like a fluorescent bulb that was about to burn out. I started to run, dragging my feet forward as I went. I raced up the stairs of the building without even bothering to take off my shoes. The lights in the yard illuminated my face with a certain rhythm as I ran. But that light was something different. That strange, dull light. That was the light of a D-sword. I made it to the top of the stairs and slammed straight into the door. I yanked it open, trying my best not to think about what I'd find beyond. The first thing I saw wasn't the light of the D-sword, but instead the red. My heart beat loudly once, and then all was silence. I didn't feel anything at all. It was as if I'd been completely frozen at what I saw. She was lying on the ground in front of me. Her clothes were red. Someone was in front of her, looking over their shoulder at me. No, not someone. I knew her. but she looked different than I'd ever seen before. And the deadly weapon in her hands made me shiver. And that weapon was deeply, deeply... A strong wind blew towards the open door. It was as if someone was trying to push me back in, as if they were trying to get me away from the threat in front of me. She'll kill you too. Run away now. Is that his own telepathy pushing the wind? Was the voice I heard an illusion? Or was it the voice of the person I cared about who's now lying on the floor? Suddenly, all sound disappeared. My head hurt like hell. I ignored it. All the doubts I had, all the feelings that told me it was a lie, I left them all behind. It was only when I saw that the distance between us was closing rapidly that I realized I had started running. A meaningless scream poured from my throat. I could tell from the way my throat was vibrating, but I couldn't hear the sound at all. I kept running, but everything seemed to be passing by me in slow motion. I felt a pulsing in my brain. My hand reached out for nothing at all. Until now, I'd never been able to touch it, but now I could easily grab it. What was I touching? What was I holding? Some fragment of useless irrationality was still within me, asking me these stupid questions. I'm holding the thing that's going to slice her apart. My own delusions, which had manifested through real booting. A twisted blade that weighed nothing at all. When I swung my D-sword, it was more than close enough to hit her. She had already turned around and raised her D-sword up from below. Why'd she have a sword too? I didn't know. Before I could think about it, I brought down my weapon with all my might. Serica blocked it without making a sound. No, that wasn't right. My D-sword stopped before she could block it. Right before it would hit her.
どうした?
What's wrong? I heard a voice I'd never heard before. I saw a look I'd never seen before. I couldn't move. She hadn't done anything to me. There was no mind control. I was the one in control. But my hands had stopped as if they struck an invisible wall. Why? Why?
来ないのか?
You're not going to do it? Why can't I move? Why won't my arms, my legs? My feelings caught up to me. My reason came back. And my heart finally started to scream. This can't be happening. It can't. Why would Serica do this? There's no way this can be real. The pounding headache I'd forgotten came back and I fell to my knees. My head felt like it was going to be split in half. I grabbed it with both hands. At some point my D-sword had disappeared. The will that I tried to strike Serica with was already gone. I dug my nails in and closed my eyes. I could feel the veins of my forehead pulsing with my hands. I felt something sticky on my knees, and I smelled a mild perfume. It was just like before. My little sister had been killed and ripped apart. Again, this is happening again? It was the blood of someone who was every bit as important to me as my little sister, Kurusu Nono. Who did this? Who was the one that attacked her with a blade and cold eyes? No, I'm telling you, it can't be Onoe. I tried to use my rage to drive that thought away, but I couldn't. I heard a wordless voice. I forced my eyes to open. Seriko's already gone. I looked around with blurry eyes, but there was no light from her D-sword and no sign of her at all. I crawled over to Kurusu.
クルス
She was crying. Large tears fell silent from her vacant eyes. Her chest was stained red, and each time she breathed, more blood came out.
クルス
I pushed my hands up against her wound. But despite how hard I tried to close up the wound, more and more dark, sticky liquid just kept pouring out, staining my hands red.
誰か誰か
Somebody! Somebody! I don't know what to do. How do I save her? She's going to suffocate. As she started to cough, I put my hands behind her head and quickly turned it to the side. Blood poured forth from her mouth and fell onto the ground.
喋るな大丈夫大丈夫だから
Don't talk. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. Okay? How is this okay? She's bleeding so much. She's in so much pain. Why is this happening? I told you not to talk. Kursa's face twisted and she started to cry again. And then... she suddenly grabbed my hand that was on her chest. And her grip was so weak. And in that moment I felt an indescribable chill in my heart.
なんだよもっと強く掴んでくれよ
Come on, grab tighter. Be stronger. It's like you're going to die. Her breathing was getting so shallow that she couldn't even speak. But she tried to grab my hand and bring it next to her head.
ダメだ傷を押さえてないと
No, I need to keep the wound closed. But it looked like she shook her head just a little. And then she slowly brought my hand up to her face and put it to her lips. The red from my fingers clung to her purple lips and shone like beautiful gloss.
嫌だ
No. The sensation of my fingers was soft but terribly cold. And that's when I knew. Yeah, she's going to die after all.
そんなのダメだ絶対にダメだダメだ
No, that can't happen. It can't. I'm sorry. Her hand moved away from mine and fell to the ground.
モノ
The name fell from my lips. It was the first time I'd said it in half a year.
おいノノ
It was the name of my big sister who'd always protected me.
起きろよノノ
Wake up! No, no! I lifted her up and held her tightly in my arms, but she didn't move at all.
なんでだよこんなのあれかよなあノノノノ
Why? How is this happening? Hey, no, no! No, no! I called her name again and again, knowing that from now on she would never answer me. At some point, midnight had passed and it was November 4th. The last of the turn of the New Generation Baptist murders had occurred right before my very eyes.
たった今、警察から異例の発表がありました。実名による未成年の指名手配です。
We have just received an extremely unusual announcement from the police. It is a warrant for the arrest of a minor issued under their real name.
発表によりますと、警察は本日11月4日午前0時30分、現在東京都渋谷区で起こっている一連の猟奇事件の重要参考人として、
The announcement says that as of 12:30 a.m. today, November 4th, the police have issued a warrant for a person of interest in the series of murders that occurred in Shibuya Ward, Tokyo.
私立碧峰学園3年宮代拓君を全国に指名手配しました。繰り返しお伝えします。
This is a national arrest warrant for Miyashiro Takuru-kun, a third-year student at Hekiho Academy, I repeat. I lost my balance and fell over. I couldn't use my hands to break my fall, so sharp pain raced through my shoulder instead. Some ashes got into my mouth too. I tried to get up, but the weight and warmth on my back wouldn't let me. Sarika hadn't woken up for a while. She was still breathing. I could feel the beating of her heart. She was fine. I could taste blood as well as ash. I must have cut my lip when I fell. Damn it. I somehow managed to stand up without dropping Sarika, cursing as I did so. I couldn't just keep lying on the ground here. My goal, Tokyo General Hospital in Yoyogi, was a long ways away. It was fine, I would get there no matter what. Neither Sarika nor I were going to die here. Hey, this way, come on. I saw people crowding around what probably used to be a store. I heard what sounded like someone calling for help, and someone else saying they'd brought water from a broken vending machine. It was evidently being used as a temporary shelter. Should I stop by? I was thirsty, I wanted water. No, I couldn't. That wasn't my priority. I knew that. I had lots of scrapes and small cuts, but none of my wounds were fatal. In an emergency like this, the most important thing wasn't food or water, it was finding a safe place. I'd learned that on the internet one time, and since I didn't know what was wrong with Sarika, she needed a specialist to look at her. There was no telling what might happen here in Shibuya. It's better to head to Tokyo General Hospital in Yoyogi.
そうだ。ここに留まってる情弱なあの人たちよりも状況の僕の方が上なんだ。
That's right, I'm a right-sider, and that makes me better than the wrong-siders who are staying here. I ignored them and passed by. I licked the back of my cuspids so that my body would make more saliva and I'd feel less thirsty. That was another trick I learned. I wasn't ignorant like the rest of these people. Is this okay? Okay, press down here. Something seemed strange. I suddenly realized that I recognized some of the voices from the shelter. I looked and saw that they belonged to my classmates. I almost never went to school, but I vaguely recognized a few members of the group. There was an adult woman lying on the ground in between them. There was blood coming from her stomach and her head. My heart skipped a beat. I just barely managed to stop myself from falling over. Why? My classmates seemed to be trying to save her. They're each taking turns holding down her injuries, not caring if their hands would be covered with blood. Why? Why are you doing that? All you ever do is talk about stupid crap and you never listen to me. Why aren't you panicking? You guys don't know anything, right? About priorities? Or cuspids? Why aren't you screaming? Why aren't you running away? Why are you so calm? You never did anything useful with your time. You can't even use the internet. All your information is low quality. Miyashiro, is that you? Miyashiro? One of them saw me and ran over. Then he started asking me a lot of questions. Are you alright? Do you have any water? Can't you help us? Each new question came before I had a chance to answer the last one. I knew his face, but didn't know his name. So how did he know my name? How could he remember it at a time like this? Why? The word got stuck in my throat, and I couldn't get it out. I didn't even know what I was trying to ask. Isn't it obvious? Are you saying we should just let her die? I didn't know how he'd interpreted my response, but he suddenly started yelling. And he grabbed my arm and told me to come with him. Oh, wait. The woman's hurt. I have to save her. No, I have to get to H Tokyo General Hospital. I saw lots of injured people on the way here. That's right, this place is dangerous. My top priority is finding someplace safe. That's what my information told me. No matter how hard he pulled, I didn't move. Nothing moved. Actually, it felt like I was outside my body, watching him pull it. Why can't I move? Am I scared? Of course I'm scared. If she's hurt, then I should help her, just like my classmates are. Wait, I'm not like them, right? I'm a right-sider. No, they're doing the right thing. I should help them. What should I do? Forget it, you're a useless piece of shit. Get lost. He spat out those words as he let go of my arm. He ran back to his friends and they all started to take turns pressing down her injuries again. He whispered something to them and they all looked at me for a moment. There was disgust in their eyes. Their eyes said more than words ever could. I hope I never end up like him, they said. Next thing I knew, I was running. Not because I had to get to the hospital, but because I wanted to get away from them. I don't remember where I ran. Each time someone lying on the ground begged me for help, I ran faster and in a different direction. I closed my eyes so I couldn't see anything, then tripped, held my ears so I couldn't hear anything. My body was shaking. I felt coldness pressing in from all around me, the likes of which I never felt before. Why am I running? Am I a right-sider? While they were busy learning about useless nonsense at school, I spent my time looking up worthwhile information, becoming smarter than them. I should be the one looking down on them. That's right, that's right. Oh, but Onoe can read all that, right? I know all kinds of things they don't. Oh, is that what happened? Onoe was left to nearly die by Miyashiro in this moment. Are they treating her injuries right? Are they doing it in the right order? I should go back and tell them what to do. Or maybe Onoe is getting revenge for them. Well, specifically Senri, but it all culminated because of everything Takaru had also done before that. I'm sure that I can make the right decisions. Oh, so he did go back and help, did he? Oh, he didn't? Miyashiro's mother, Takaru? I was very surprised when I saw who just spoken to me. It was my mom and dad. What are you doing here? Only then did I realize where I was. It was the shelter outside of H Tokyo General Hospital. I'd made it. Doesn't matter, let's go. This hospital's no good. Dad motioned to Mom and I to keep moving. Why? Someone just said this place was safe. They're overloaded, and anyway, we need to get further away. There's no telling when the aftershocks will hit. It looks like there really isn't much damage to the north. The company's building is close. Let's use the cars there. What? I didn't hear anything about that. Takaru, what are you doing? Hurry! And they're both gonna get murdered? Question mark. When she grabbed my arm, the sensation from earlier came back and I shook her off.
タクル、なんなの、こんな時まで迷惑かけないで、助かるのよ。
Tatakeru, what are you doing? Don't start causing problems again. You're saved. Saved?
僕は助かる。
I'm saved?
いいから早く。
Just come with me. Mom screamed, pulled me along behind her. She followed Dad. I went too. My legs were moving as if they weren't my own.
助かるって。
Saved? Saved from what? The hell I just saw? Now I'm being saved from it? By people who never even cared about me before? Suddenly, I felt a very sharp pain in my head. I shook off her arm.
タクル、タクル。
My mom was screaming, but I didn't know what she said. I couldn't hear her. My head hurt, and I didn't know why. My vision started to blur, and I could feel my body starting to go numb. My nails were now digging into my scalp, but I couldn't feel them. So this is the same every time he does this, it was Onoe doing this to him? I tried my hardest to think through the pain. Saved? Me? Why? You people have always neglected me, but now you're going to save me? Why? You two just happened to find me here, which means you were about to leave me behind, weren't you? You ignored me for so long, and now you're going to save me? And I'm supposed to accept that? Pain shot through my temples like I was being stabbed with something sharp. No. No. That wasn't what you were supposed to say. This isn't what's supposed to happen to me. This isn't the information I'm supposed to get. All the wrong siders of my class are doing the right thing and looking down on me. I'm a right sider. I'm the person who's supposed to know what to do when everything goes wrong. I'm not like those preening jackasses online. I actually went on dangerous adventure, and they looked at me like I was less valuable than some random meme in a joke site. What is happening? And now you people are going to save me? You, the people who just gave me 1,000 yen so taking me out to dinner on my birthday? Hell no. I'm not the kind of person who just gets saved by parents who don't even want him. Shut up. You just think I'm in the way, don't you? Well, I think the same thing. You're in my way. Just what do I do? What do I want to do? Why am I here? I suddenly thought of my childhood friend who was supposed to be on my back. That's right. Where's Sarika? She was never there? I only now remembered that I originally came here to save Sarika, but I couldn't feel her on my back through the pain in my head. That's right, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm saving her life. Sarika will understand. She always tells me what I'm doing is right. She always understands what I have to do. She always says, always on my side. The pain went beyond my capacity to endure it. Suddenly, my whole field of vision went white. Shut up, you people should just die? Go away forever. Is that how he gets telepathy? Sarika, save me. Please. Please. Oh, no, wait. Please, give me... Chapter 10, Sarika Onoe, Her Intentions.
依然として重要参考人である宮代拓君の情報は入ってきておりません。
I think that's a good place to end it. Thanks for